Good morning, grade 7s, and welcome back to WorksheetCloud. Remember, if you have a question for me, please email grade7@worksheetcloud.com. I know that we've done literature study in this previous lesson, so I do hope today's lesson we're going to follow on. We're going to look a little bit at film study, which I'm sure that you're excited about. I do hope that you are busy reading something, whether it's a novel or I don't even mind you reading a comic or the Guinness Book of Records. Just be reading. So let's take a look at our lesson overview for today. We're going to look at the word for the day, and we are going to look at visual literacy, in particular film study. And the reason I left film study till now is I wanted to do the literature study first, so that you understand when you're looking at a novel, you are looking for the plot and the themes and the characters. And film is similar, although there are some differences. So our word for the day is schlepp. And where it comes from the Yiddish verb to pull or to drag. And so you can use it as a noun to carry or to lug something, and that lug implies that it's quite heavy, or to move slowly and awkwardly. It's like unpleasant. That's how you use it as a verb. So if I wanted to use it as a verb, I would say, or I'd say to my mom, maybe mom's asked you to go and help with the washing, and you could say, oh, what a schlepp. In other words, you don't want to do it. Or it's such a schlepp to carry these bags in from the car, the grocery bags. So try and use that word today. I have taken it from dictionary.com, so check it out as well. It's a free app. Some lovely ideas, some difficult words, some things that you'd never think about and probably never use, but I do think this is one of those words that you will definitely use as a teenager, schlepp. Right, let's jump into our lesson today. So I wonder what you think about when you're thinking about the movies. I often think about the Oscars. I think about new releases. I love going to Stag Kinekor. I definitely love having popcorn and sitting in the movie theatre. I know it's something we haven't been able to do for a while because of lockdown. But to tell you the truth, I haven't actually been for a while, even before that. But I did see Bohemian Rhapsody, which I loved. I must admit I've put the books here because as an English teacher, but even if I wasn't an English teacher, I really do love reading the book first before I watch the film. And that's what I've done in terms of The Shack. I see that it's on Netflix or Showmax, but I have read the book and I read it. The first time I read it was quite difficult for me to understand the concept of the different characters. But as I read it the second time, I just fell in love with the characters. It's quite a hard book to read. There's a lot of heartache in it, but the overwhelming sense at the end is just beautiful. So I do encourage you to read it and then watch the movie second, unless you've already watched it. Now we're going to look at movie reviews, and there's always a positive and a negative. So I'm just going to read a few bits of the top one. It says, to start off this review, I'd like to say that before I ever watched this movie, I had the opinion that it was going to be rubbish, solely because of how blown up the movie was. Everywhere I went, it was The Greatest Showman. I thought that perhaps it would be a mediocre film at best, blown out of proportion by craze. Boy, was I wrong. Even at the beginning of the movie, you are thrown straight into the extravagance of what the movie was about to become. What is basically the story of a simple man becoming a legend in the show business is the most flamboyant and breathtaking musical movie I've seen. So that's just a bit of a positive one, and then there obviously is a negative one, and this person says, I'm quite annoyed that this movie has such a high rating. I felt insulted by its simplicity, its lack of dialogue, and the dialogue that was there being terrible, its lackluster character development, and the incessant looping of the music. Seriously, the music was like 7 words, just changed around throughout the entire movie. It was 2 hours of looping of a really bad song with a few lines of horrible dialogue sprinkled in there. The dancing was lots of spinning and arm waving. And I love that because everybody's entitled to their opinion. But that's what we want you to do as grade 7s, is to watch a film and then to take the tips and the tricks that we've taught you and to analyze a film in terms of the plot and the other things that we're going to look at. Right, and I don't know how many of you watch the Oscars. I've never been, but I do love watching the Oscars and seeing the different actors, seeing the awards, just part of the whole process. So take a look at this.
And the Oscar goes to Regina King! I'm an example of what it looks like when support and love is poured into someone. Mom, I love you so much.
Alfonso Peru. I want to thank the amazing cast and crew, my family.
Right, just amazing. The lights, the cameras, the music, awesome. So let's take a look at what we want you as grade 7s to be learning. So you need to go beyond that passive entertainment. So yes, it's awesome to be able to sit and just watch a movie, and you must do that. But when your teachers are exposing you to films that you need to analyze or study, it needs to be active study, and there needs to be an in-depth analysis of what you're watching, because there's so much more to see than what you see. And so I'm going to help you along with that. So when we're looking at film study, we are looking at the printed text versus non-printed, so films and plays. So printed, obviously, we're looking at novels, and then people involved in filmmaking. So who are the people behind the scenes or part of that process besides the actual characters? And then we're going to look at film and cinematography. So let's jump into just the difference between the printed text and non-printed text. So we're looking at books, as I said, and then the non-printed texts are your theatre productions, things that are on Netflix, things at the movies, and we're going to look at the difference between the two. I'm seeming to have moved my face around quite a bit today. Okay, so if we take a look at printed text, we're talking about novels, etc. So they both, if we're looking at your novels versus movies and theatre, they both have a theme, a plot, characters, setting, and genres. They both have that. But when we're looking at printed text, those are obviously written. Yes, a movie has a script, but there's sounds and actions to it. This is indirect appeal to the reader, so you reading it and making things up for yourself, where there's a direct appeal. It's appealing to all your senses. It's got you gripped. So a book requires your imagination and your own interpretation sometimes, where here there's less room for imagination. They're sort of just creating pictures in your mind for you. And that's very powerful. And we are going to look later on at advertising. And I know we've just briefly touched on that, but how they do certain things to provide you with what they want you to see. When you're reading a book, the pace is set by you, so you can stop, put it down, pick it up. Here the pace is set for you, and I'm talking specifically about stay at Kinekor and going to movies at the shopping centres. So there you can't stop the movie and, decide when you want to watch a terrible part or a happy part. But obviously at home, when it's Netflix, you can pause, you can decide, I'm not watching this now, I'm going to come back to it. But generally, in terms of going to watch a movie, the pace is set for you. And then obviously your novels have a storyline and characters, where in the movies you've got a little bit more than that. You've got cameras and shots, lighting, sound effects that help create certain things for you. So what do you need to look at when you're analyzing a film? So just like we did the literature study yesterday, we spoke about looking at the title, and that just like a book, it identifies what the film is about. So The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, it's a book, but it's also a movie. Genre, that's a type of film. Is it a comedy, suspense? Is it a western? Is it a fantasy? And you have those same genres with your stories. Plot, those are the key events. There's themes, just like a book: war, bravery, death, friendship, tragedy. Characters, it's a different way to study them in film, and we'll go through that. And then obviously with film, we've got sets and costumes, which create a setting for us. And then mood or atmosphere is created by the making of the film. So let's jump into just looking at who the people are involved in making a film. And obviously there are so many, so I'm really just going to touch on the main people. But some of the ones that are equally important, but generally in the background, are your makeup artists or costume designers. There's your marketing people, there's the lighting, it's the people that you don't see. But today I just want to chat a bit about some of the important people involved in making a film, and not that anybody is less important, because remember, as a whole, that film would not take place if we didn't have the lighting and the makeup artists and somebody marketing the film. So the director, and he is the artist and technical guide for the film. So she or he gives the actors and actresses direction on how to act out a scene, like Steven Spielberg. So I want you to do this, I want you to act like this, I want you to lift your head, I want you to raise your arms. He literally directs them. I suppose much like somebody directing the traffic, they're showing you which direction to go. And then the producer, he is responsible for finding the money for the film. So often we see produced by, you need to know that's the person who's found somebody to finance the film. And he also might buy the rights to the book or the play, like Matilda or Stuart Little, and then be able to produce the film. And then you've got the script writer. He's the one who writes the original script. And obviously, as that is being directed by the director, there might be adjustments that need to take place, and that's where your script writer will come in again. Then we're looking at your cinematographer, and that's this person is known as the director of photography, and so they'll decide where the film should be shot, or the specific part of the film should be shot in this location, this one in the car. It depends on the cinematographer. And then the editor, that's the person who cuts and joins the film together from all the different shots or different takes to make up the scene and the sequence of events. And they make sure that the film then runs smoothly. I think I do need perhaps an editor for my film, my online lessons. I hope you're not being too critical, grade 7s. And then we're going to look at your cinematographic effects. So we're looking at sound effects and your visual effects. So obviously in a movie, the sounds are amazing. And then there's visual effects that you actually can see. So these are not things that you are creating for yourself. They are things that are explicit, and exactly what the film wants to accomplish is they want you to see what they want you to see and hear what they want you to hear. So you can't control that. Right, so if we look at sound effects, we're looking at the voices. So that's the dialogue between characters or in the background. There's the music that enhances the atmosphere. It could be scary or intense or peaceful. And then you've got some of the sounds. So sometimes they can be realistic sounds, and sometimes they more dramatic, unnatural sounds. And then sometimes silence can be used as a sound effect. And then we look at your visual effects, and I'm really just touching on this very briefly because these are things that you'll probably look at in high school. So the visual effects, so how they frame things, how things are put together, lines and lighting, where the focus is, and the use of color. So these are some of the things that you'll be looking at possibly at the end of grade 7 or into high school. I do know this has been a very short lesson today, grade 7s, but it's really just because our next lesson, I don't want to start it because it's on camera shots and angles which go together. But I do hope you've enjoyed this. Remember that there will be an activity for you at the end, and that you can send me any emails. And so there's nothing more for me to say except...
That's all, folks.
I do hope that you will find something on Netflix. Obviously check with mom and dad. Just because you can watch it doesn't mean you should. There are lots of movies that I can watch because I'm very old. But sometimes I start a movie on Netflix or a series and I just think, it just doesn't sit right. If you're getting that negative feeling, just listen to that. So don't go watch everything that you can just because you're old enough to watch it. Make sure that what goes in is going to come out. So if you're putting negative things in, negative is going to come out. If you're putting scary things in and you're wondering why you can't sleep, or you're having crazy dreams and they're scaring you, think about what you are putting in, just like food. What you eat, the good healthy food, that builds a strong body. So I really encourage you. I'm going to try and take some time this week to watch The Shack because I've loved reading the book. I'm also busy watching a couple of series on Netflix that I'm enjoying. So take some time out while you're in lockdown. Watch a movie with your family. If you can, wherever possible, grab a book, lie down and read. I know there's lots of different things that are available on phones and on your devices in terms of free books to read. And so really make use of that opportunity. And then there's obviously, that is the end. That's all, folks. Nothing more for me to say, except thank you, grade 7s, for joining me today. I do hope you'll come back tomorrow. We're going to look at, as I said, camera shots and angles, some lovely visual pictures of the way in which they shoot things and what their intention is for that, and then I'll give you some activities for you to do for you to identify the different camera shot or angle. So have a great day, guys. I will see you same time, same place. Bye, everybody.